So welcome, Levina ji, and thank you so much for your time today. And we're absolutely delighted to have you on Dani Talks. So,
Same
Lavina,
here. I'm glad to meet you,
thank you so
Sonali.
much. And so, Lavina ji, just to give you a little background on what Nari Talks is all about. So, it's a platform that we've created where we want to have women voices and perspectives and knowledge on a lot of issues that is affecting different sections of society and women around the globe. We feel that through this initiative we will be able to empower women, build confidence, and we'll also be able to be better prepared for the outbreak, and we'll be able to bring a more gendered perspective on things, on the major things that is affecting India as well as other countries.
It
And
resonates with me completely.
yeah. And our topic for today, Levina ji, is it involves the world's two most populous countries, two heavily armed, nuclear armed neighbors, India and China. Uh,
Yeah.
these countries have shared a long history of mistrust and conflict along the border. So the incident that we saw last month, that we heard about, is not an isolated incident. It's not that
True.
this is the first time India and China have fought and there has been clashes among between these two countries.
Yeah.
So we've seen clashes since the last century, all the way up to 2017 with the Doklam Plateau standoff. So we want to understand, Lavina ji, that what is the history
The
behind,
genesis, right?
yes, what is the root behind this flare up?
I mean, honestly speaking, I would not have bothered about what was going on in China in mid 19th century. But I think what was going on inside China was affecting us too.
Yeah.
So that was the end of King Dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
and um, there were military rulers, independent military rulers, somewhere around 1870 and so, and they had their own maps, and nobody really bothered about what China's real
Hmm.
borders were. And when the British army, whatever, whenever they sent the map, they did not get any response. And uh, and uh, so at that point they did not make any claim. And then
Okay.
uh, you know uh, PRC happened. First the Republic of China happened, and then PRC happened, and then the expansionist ideology of CPC took over. That is when they started expanding their territory. To
Right.
be honest, at this point I believe, even if we had very clear boundaries, even if the boundaries were not ambiguous,
Mm-hmm.
these guys would have behaved like bullies, because that's what CPC stands for,
Correct. Correct.
unfortunately, for us. Uh, Doklam, actually, Doklam issue was related to Bhutan, not India really. But Bhutan is protected state. It is protected by India. So we had to jump in. Plus, it is a trident. It is strategically important.
Hmm.
Um, and then when it comes to Galwan is like next level. What
Hmm.
happened in Doklam was nothing in comparison to what happened in Galwan,
Correct.
because
Correct.
Galwan is very important.
Hmm.
I'll just show you some slides here.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the reason. Okay, yeah. I mean, see, recently we had a Galwan issue, right, where
Right.
we lost about 20 soldiers,
Yes. Correct. Correct. That's correct.
and something similar had happened close to Konkla. It's not very far away from what do you call it, Galwan. It's very
Hmm.
pretty close. Like if I were to say, if somewhere behind this, and this is Kongla. Okay,
Okay.
these chaps in China, they had picked when you know our intelligence bureau and CRPF's team was picked up by them.
Mm-hmm.
We had lost 10 soldiers in 1959, and they had taken 7 soldiers as POW, not really prisoner of war, but
Hmm.
uh, these soldiers were then returned to us 5 weeks later after being tortured.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not new. I mean, but after 1959 and 1962, we've never seen something as violent as what
Correct.
happened recently, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, Yeah. See, this is what Galvan River. This is where Galwan is, and this is
Mm-hmm.
Konkla. Not very far,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Pretty close.
Oh, he's a man. Galwan Valley is
Um,
named after him.
okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm just telling you some history
No.
on
That's very
Galwan.
good to know. In fact.
Yeah, actually, when this man went there, Galwan, it was somewhere I think to the end of 19th century. All
Okay.
right, and his son was kidnapped by Chinese in 1959. What a coincidence.
Okay. Interesting.
And yeah, I recently read this man's grandson's interview too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Oh, go on. Yeah, I think the
Right.
history bit is clear. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. No,
I
definitely
hope.
some definitely good insights into how this began and how these two things are connected. Um,
I honestly believe, even at this point, I
yeah.
honestly believe, even if we had very clear demarcated borders,
Hmm.
this would have happened.
Hmm.
Come to think of it, they have a problem with everyone. Taiwan,
That's true.
Japan, even Russia. Even
Yeah.
Russia is not spared, right?
Correct.
Russia,
Correct.
Russia is someone who can match China, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
even then, Russia is not spared, so
Yeah.
we had to face it. We are their neighbors, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, Lavina ji, you're a defense journalist, and you are an expert in matters related to defense and strategy. And you have your own website, the Resonant News, and you talk a lot about certain issues like these, which have.
Correct. I'm not an expert, but yeah, I mean, I'm not dilettante, but I'm like not an expert also. But
But I've
yeah,
read some of your articles, Livina ji. In fact, when you told me that you have this Resonant News, I've read some of the articles, and honestly, they've been really well written. It's a very good perspective, I would say. And it's good
thank
to
you
know
so
that
much.
perspective.
Thank
And
you.
no, absolutely, Lavina ji. So, Lavina ji, you must be aware of how, a lot of media houses are calling this Ladakh confrontation one of the worst clashes in history. I know we've also established that it's been one of the worst since the last century. How do you think the international media international media houses are depicting this India-China face-off?
Going by how it was happening a decade ago, I see it is milder, yet they are very harsh on us.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
reason being, our domestic or whatever Indian media itself is very harsh on Indian army and
Hmm.
Indian forces and Indian government.
Hmm.
Uh, Actually, I would like to show you I would like to show you a video where
Absolutely.
we have NDTV claiming that China is it's captured 423 meters of Indian territory, and I'll show you how it is completely baseless.
Hmm.
Because then this number 423 gets circulated everywhere in social media without anyone doing any fact checking. And to be honest, I cannot really blame NDTV also for it, because the
Hmm.
documents, the original document itself is wrong. Just show you that video. I mean,
Absolutely.
my point is, when Indian media can go wrong, when the documents itself are wrong, we cannot expect sympathy from international media. I mean, they are bound to be misled by whatever they read in Indian media or whatever documents show. When the documents itself are wrong, um, you cannot expect any help, right? That's what I kept saying. Our borders are pretty ambiguous. Oh, yeah. So this is NDTV's claim. Can you hear it? India's substantial force buildup as responsible journalists, we don't want to identify. I'll just show. I just want you to, look at the number 423. See, it says China intrudes 423 meters into Indian territory in Galwan. All right.
Okay. Okay.
And then they have gone ahead and measured it, and they have gone on and measured it with the help of Google Pro. It shows 423. I went on Google Pro and I measured it. All
Okay.
right. But this bit is based on this document, which is which was actually posted on Twitter by Mrs. Nirupama Rao. She was in External Affairs Ministry um, during the UPA regime, right?
Okay.
So she's a credible source. Now, I'll just show you what you. I don't think you can really read it here. Can you read it?
No, it's a little blurred for me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So
better.
Right. So
Yeah.
it says it has mentioned the coordinates, and that's of two peaks. One is 6845, another one is what was it?
6845
and 6598, right? So
right.
let us go and map it now. One peak is within India. All right. Okay, there's a video. I had gone to Google Pro and recorded it. This is one of the peaks which is inside India,
Okay.
close to LAC. And the other coordinate mentioned in that document, official document, lies. It'll come to that bit. Let's wait. It's very interesting and hilarious, actually. So that's the next coordinate, 68 degrees east, 34 degrees north.
Yeah.
And that lies in Afghanistan.
Oh
No
my
kidding.
God. Okay.
I'm sorry, I could not help laughing. This is official document, and this has been used by India and China. All right. On the basis of this document, if NDTV was to measure the intrusion, or let's say it was to measure LAC, which is not properly demarcated itself, then obviously there'll be a lot of confusion. And this digit, now once a channel comes up with a certain digit, or let's say any credible defense journalist comes up with certain digits, that number gets circulated. Something that I was pointing to earlier, that nobody really fact checks it. And this is the kind of blunder we have in the document. So how can one say LAC is clearly demarcated and it's like exactly 423 meters of intrusion that has happened? No, it's not happening. And another thing is, to be honest, I don't think anyone really knows what's happening in Galwan, other than the soldiers who were there and the defense minister, because the chief, army chief and all. But other than that, no one else knows what's happening. Plus, we do not really know that what Google Pro shows is the real LAC. There was always confusion regarding this. So I don't see why Indian media should, use a sledgehammer on India's defense ministry as well as Indian defense forces on this issue. So if Indian media can be kind enough, then I can expect international media to be kind enough towards our forces and ministry and government.
Right. No, that absolutely makes sense. I was going to actually ask you this question later on, but actually now that you've brought this up, I'm really interested to know about the fact that we all know that the LSE has not been demarcated properly, which is why we are facing the issue that we are facing today. Yeah. What do you think is the future of these relationships, these diplomatic relationships? I mean, it's high time that we actually provide some sort of a clear demarcation, because this is not going to stop. This can come. This is an incident which happened last month. This incident can happen next month also. It's a very we're in a very precarious situation, I feel.
True. It is. So this can happen again.
Correct. So what is the future? Like, what is the next step, sort of?
To be honest, I think, if we do not take Oxygen back, we'll keep facing these intrusions and, perpetual interference of whatever, is happening along the LOC. It'll keep happening. It'll keep repeating, because CPC won't stop. It is like a robot on, let's say it's a, you've heard of Tevor gun, right? It's like a Tevor and burst mode, which don't stop till the bullets are not there, the magazine finishes.
I see.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I mean is,
Yeah.
it's like a bot with a mission. So it won't stop till it accomplishes that mission.
Right.
So
Right.
so for us to stop them, we have to actually push them behind oxygen. And
Hmm.
there's another reason why Galwan issue happened. Really,
Okay. Okay.
one was, I'm sure you've heard of DSDBO road, which is coming up, and it is almost parallel to um, our oops, seep. Wait, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Here, the slide. So this is our road. You can see it,
Yeah.
and this is
22 hours.
what is that?
Sorry, that's actually my. So every hour my laptop tells me the time. So because it's
Okay.
22 hours, it just said 22 hours, and I didn't realize it's
It's
particular
okay,
with
it's okay,
that.
it's okay. I like, I mean, did I end up playing any video? So, all right. All right. I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I'll come back to the LAC. So, we have the LAC here, and we have the DSDBO road, which is
Okay.
almost parallel to it.
Correct. Correct.
And
Correct.
so, now DSDBO actually means D is for Darbuk. I
Okay.
think you can spot Darbuk here. This is Darbuk. It is a place like at 14,000 feet. To get there, our soldiers have to get acclimatized,
Hmm.
right? And then next is Shayok. Shayok is the last village where civilians are allowed.
Okay.
Beyond this point, no civilians are allowed. So
Hmm.
this is why Shayok is also important. Plus, the Shayok River, it floods every summer. If you pick up the Galwan Valley's maps from
Hmm.
June first week,
Hmm.
it's absolutely dry. And pick up one of the maps from second week of June, it'll be just the opposite. There's a river running suddenly because it's flooding in the other
Correct.
part of Aksai.
Hmm.
The ice is melting, and this is why earlier the problem was the Shayok DBO. DBO is Daulat Beg Oldie.
Okay.
It is the highest airfield in the world at 5 kilometers above sea level. So what happens is, once this airstrip is completely active, you see how close this is to Oxygen?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
This is exactly why China is so insecure. It
Hmm.
now feels that India is ambitious enough to take back Oxygen.
I see. I see.
So you see, if the Galwan is very close to Shayok River, all right. So
Hmm.
if they block this bit, our access to DBO gets blocked too,
Understood.
right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so
That's quite interesting, actually.
yeah, so this is exactly what I was pointing to.
Hmm.
If we don't push them behind this line or like
Hmm.
behind this will keep happening. It will keep
Hmm.
repeating. These intrusions will keep repeating
Hmm. Hmm.
incessantly. And
Understood.
I have no doubt about it,
Hmm.
going by their history.
Fair enough. So, Levina ji, you mentioned, how some of the Indian documents do not have factual information, and
True.
in times like these, in a war-like situation, government or the media is also not representing all the information. It has some information here and there. It's becoming very difficult for public to consolidate all that is out there, and they're trying to read between the lines. So right now, what do you think the public understanding of this issue is? Where does it stand?
It's skewed, completely skewed,
Hmm.
because social media comes with its pros and cons, and I
Right.
absolutely love social media for giving us so much information. But this is the the medium through which a lot of fake news is pervaded and propagated. So
Hmm.
um, either media coverage on such issues should be controlled by Information and Broadcasting Ministry,
Hmm.
or there should be there are official handles, they do post you know updates, but
Hmm.
then everyone loves gossip. So if there was Ajay Shukla who said there are 10,000 Chinese soldiers. I'm sorry I'm mentioning names, but
No, no,
he
no
was the
problem.
one who introduced it, and this line was then picked up by international media, Here in UAE, I was getting newspapers with big headline: 10,000 soldiers, Chinese soldiers in India. When there was no proof at all, right? And so,
So
yeah,
do you think this is the primary reason for the bias against India in international media?
no.
No. What do you think? Where do you think this bias is coming from? What are some of the other factors
That that
leading to
that
this
comes
bias?
that's because, see, I think China, let's say Qatar,
Hmm.
these are rich countries, and they influence international media, and there's no doubt about it.
Hmm.
I had just another example of it here. This lady,
Okay.
no kidding, but she has been paid well, and she comes from the British Parliament, if I'm not wrong.
Hmm. Hmm, hmm.
She is a new ambassador. I
Okay.
mean, and her name is MP Tracy Brabin. I hope I pronounced it right. So, I mean, she's just one example. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they do is they pick up such people
Hmm.
who are uh, pro propaganda,
Hmm.
and then use them. And I'm sure money is involved. A lot of
Right.
money is involved,
Right.
right? Because that's how narratives are set across
Hmm.
the world. And media being the fourth pillar of democracy, it often gets misused, and you'll see it happen in America also, not just in India. It happens in America too.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
It's mostly controlled by such countries which need to set a certain narrative. Let me give you the example of Balakot.
Okay.
After Balakot had happened, we had we had almost every international media claiming that Pakistan had they had taken down command squadron leader Abhinandan's MiG 29, 21, right?
Right.
And then, so almost everyone was supporting Pakistan over India. There was
Okay.
like a landslide of misinformation which had happened suddenly. I mean, there were bots, there were journalists.
Hmm.
How can so many people be simultaneously be trending on the same hashtag? You know, give it a second thought, and you'll realize that, of course, it is being done to create create a certain perception, and that's exactly what psychological warfare is about. And I must say, both our neighbors on the eastern side as well as the western side, they're too good at it. Us being a democracy, we are little behind it,
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
behind them.
Right. Right.
I mean, I can count them as an entity, single entity, because China mostly controls Pakistan. So,
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Now Nepal too.
yeah,
So right. Tricky
it's a single
situation.
entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Lavina ji, in that case, what do you think, the steps that government should take in order to make sure that, factual information is reaching the public so as not to allow speculation happening? Because that is more dangerous, I feel.
There has to be stricter laws.
Hmm.
After anti-CA protests, I really expected something of that sort. I mean, there are rules, but then um, somehow freedom of expression is almost always misused.
Hmm.
I think we should follow Japan's example here.
Okay.
Their media is pretty controlled, and there is certain sense of responsibility in the citizens too, because they've
Hmm.
gone through the worst. So,
Hmm.
from the government side, I really expect there's stricter rules out there, especially under such circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we are actually, when it's not just about the media and the populace, it's also about the morale of the soldier.
Hmm.
Once you dent the soldier's morale, he won't have the will to fight.
Absolutely.
Kargil, if you look at Kargil war, we won it only because of the sheer will and determination of our soldiers, not
Absolutely.
because of our weapons or anything else.
Hmm.
And if you dent that morale, then uh, I don't, that will be the worst thing you can do to a soldier or
Absolutely.
to our forces.
No, that's absolutely true. I think their strength comes from our strength.
True.
Yeah. So definitely true. So Lavina ji, you
They
aware?
need our
Yeah.
support, yes.
Exactly, exactly. It's sometimes more than physical strength, it's the willpower that actually helps the soldier win and helps anyone win for that matter. So absolutely right on that front. So Lavina ji, we saw that recently India had taken a stand by banning some of the major Chinese apps used by almost every Indian today. So it's a huge step, and do you think that this is a wake up call for the Indian economy or Indian industries to ramp up productions and let go of the dependence on Chinese imports? Do you think we can actually do that? Do you think we can become Atmanirbhar, which is what our Prime Minister has been claiming and wanting us to do?
We can, but we need the will to do it, right? And finally, the government has come up with something which displays its will to push back these, Chinese companies. It's not just actually about the industries and IT. If you look, the ginger that you're using at home is Chinese. The garlic that you're using is Chinese. When you can buy Indian garlic, you've not even, you've not even realized that a decade back. I'm not just talking about you and me. Everyone, we no, none of us have realized that Chinese agricultural products have captured our market, and it hurts our farmers too. And in India, I guess about 70% of the people do agriculture.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
70 to 60 is
70,
what I believe.
Yeah. 70% is a good figure. Yeah.
Majority of them, right?
Majority,
and
yeah.
under such circumstances, if we allow Chinese agricultural products to capture our markets, then we are hurting our farmers.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about IT as in banning apps. It's not just about industries. It's like there's an entire spectrum from where these Chinese products and they have to be pushed out. For example, I was I recently, I was pretty shocked. I think I should mention this here.
Yeah.
Here, in this video, because I want people to know about it. Because I spotted ISRO's remote sensing center in Kolkata, right beside Chinese Dangfang Electrical. Dangfang is a huge company,
right,
and it's a tainted one at that. Right, twice in the past they have sent us faulty turbines. Turbines cost us crores,
right,
and they had the audacity to sell us faulty turbines. All right, and then the same tainted company is spotted right beside ISRO. I smell something like very fishy.
Not coincidence.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence, definitely.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying is, we could have, we could have come up with something local. We could have produced some local turbines instead of wasting so much money in importing turbines from China. Right? I think that this, if we were to curb corruption, then it would lift the Indian industries and
right. So you think we have the capacity and
we
everything?
do.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah. It's just a paucity of will.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, that's great. I think Lavina ji, I'm done with my questions, and I think gotten some really interesting insights into a lot of things and a different perspective on things. It's different to actually read about them and then talk to someone like you, who's been an expert. I mean, I'm going to call you an expert on such issues because I've definitely felt like I've gotten a different perspective and a different understanding of things as well. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Sonali, for calling me here. And I hope I articulated my thoughts well. I'm not very good at articulating when I'm speaking. I think, jot down better.
I think the presentation was really well, so it really helped us actually see everything on the border, because otherwise, it becomes also difficult to imagine it's like the terrain is really difficult to imagine. You read it, but it's like, where is everything? But I think by having that presentation in front of us, that really helped to, give us a better.
Actually, this is one thing that I really want. This is a humble request to everyone out there, that once you read something, we must go and cross check it. I
Yeah.
mean, this document was out there, right? We could have checked it. What was posted by Nirupama Rao was already there on internet, and we could have gone and checked. And what NDTV had claimed, we would have, immediately known that it's not, it's false, right? It's not true. In fact, I don't really blame any channel. They themselves are so misled by the
Yeah.
document. Probably nobody bothered to cross check the other coordinates. So
Correct.
this is just my humble request to everyone that whenever you read something, just go back and cross check if it's really true. Check the veracity of it.
Correct. Correct. No, that's
I mean,
absolutely true.
expecting everything from the government, that they will come up with a rule. We should also we have rights and we have certain duties as a citizen of a democratic country,
And
right?
everything is
So
out there. It's not that these are secret archives and no one has access to. I think it's
yeah,
very
true,
much public, but it is up to us, if you want to get factual information, not be misled. It is
yeah,
up to us to check the veracity of things. So yeah,
true, true,
that's
true.
true. So I think thank you so much, Lavina ji, again, for
Thank you
this
so much for
insight.
giving me
And
this
it was
opportunity,
such
Sonali.
amazing, and it was delight and honor to have you today with Nari Talks.
My
And
honor to seriously. I mean, I did not expect to be part of Nari Talk, and thank you so much for calling me.
thank